Alright, hello. Today I'm just going to be making some bases here. I'm going to be sorting these out. We're going to try our hand at making some asphalt bases for an up-and-coming uh, kind of D&D-esque zombie campaign. So I'm just going to get some sand in here and pour in some black paint and mix that around a bit. It is important to say that this is how fast I'm moving. This is not sped up in any way, shape, or form. This is how fast I'm moving. And so I'm just going to spread that on here and then put whatever I can get over on the rest of this. I'm using a brush that I will never be able to use again on anything else. It is dirty, it is disgusting, it is disdained now, and it is basically decrepit at this point. I cannot use it for anything else. Completely unfixable, this brush. And so our second method, we're going to start out with a little bit of thick bubbled foam just to see how it looks. This foam I actually didn't know at the beginning, but was filled with a bunch of air. So in a second here, you're going to see me just trying to press out all of the bubbles and pop them so they don't stand up during any trying to get there. And I'm going to just try and put on some super glue on there. And I'm accidentally going to put on way too much super glue right there. I have a brush applicator now for my super glue. Now I have a bit of a much more thin bubbled foam, so much tighter structure. And as you can see here, I'm just going to cut off a piece there, and then I'm going to try and put it on there. And I'm going to try and rip off a bit, and I'm going to absolutely mutilate it, and then I'm going to try and cut off another bit, and it's not going to work. I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm not going to like the look of either of the sides. I'm going to try and cut the top piece off because I don't like the sheen that it gives it. So I'm going to just try again over on that. Cut myself out a new piece of foam and cut that off there. And I'm going to be able to just glue that right on there. Using, once again, way too much super glue. Gonna grab a toothpick, smear that out, and I did get some on my thumb right there. That is not fun having super glue on your thumb, I must say, and I'm just going to try painting this one completely black, as these are just tests of different ways of making asphalt. And so far I've tried a thick bubbled foam, a thin bubbled foam, and a just sand in which I got at the dollar store. And so that is kind of how that works, and I'm going to come back here and I'm going to put a bit more black paint right after everything's kind of dried out a little bit. I'm going to just put on a second coat of black paint onto this one. I wanted to try something else of putting it onto the thing and seeing if it's easier or harder to paint up once everything is black in there. And I did 3D print these bases. They're just 32mm bases that I found online. If I can remember, I will put the link in the description. If I cannot find it, I'll put a link to another 32mm base that I find on either Printables or Thingiverse. That's my go-to for getting things. And I'm just going to paint around the edge of the bases, as they all need to be completely black to give the kind of asphalt look. Though after this, I did get a separate after the recording of this, I did get a separate kind of uh, paint that's called Pavement. Currently, I'm using some Apple Barrel Pure Black, or Apple Barrel Black, Matte Black. Apple Barrel Matte Acrylic Black Paint. I don't know why that was so hard for me to say. As you can see here, it's a bit hard to get right deep in the recesses when there's just so much foam to go through, so that's why I had the idea of putting in some, you know, making some black ones that I can just put the foam onto and then paint it black so that it doesn't really get any of the white under it showing through, making it so I think I just need less paint on the outside, though that might just be what I think. I did not end up using a whole lot of paint for all of these. Asphalt bases are fairly simple, being that they are just, black or a slight-ish bluish black on a foam structure or a kind of sand and type foam, or honestly, you can just do it with just a black base. I've noticed that that is quite normal. And here you can see me trying to pick out anything from the brush that I can, and it's not working. I did end up getting some spatulas to make it a bit, some painting spatulas to make it a bit easier when I'm trying to do this. And I'm just going to come in here for a nice third coat of black on these foams. And that's going to hopefully darken it up plenty enough that I won't have to come back in with black once everything is fully dried, not just initially dried. And I'm going to have quite a nice little bit of asphalt bases for an upcoming kind of D&D or GURPS. I don't know if I'm going to use the D&D system or the GURPS system for it, but I plan on running my brother through a zombie campaign that I'm designing. And so I needed some asphalt paints for zombies, as they're most likely most battles are going to either take place inside, in which case I will just have asphalt-based zombies, or outside on the street, and streets are asphalt, and so I'm going to place some darkened sand on this already dark. I'm going to place some black sand already on this black base right here, and I'm going to do the same thing with another one and see how that turns out compared to the other black sand bases that I had put on white bases. See if since I don't have to do a whole lot of post-processing, I shouldn't have to repaint the black sand at all, and I should just be able to lay that down and then go on and put the model on it. So that turns out to be fairly simple, and I'm just gonna, yeah, this brush is absolutely fucked. There's no way I'm gonna be able to use it for anything else, and eventually I'll probably just cut it up and use it for basing itself. And I'm just gonna make some more of that thin layered foam, or sorry, thin bubbled foam, the foam with a very tight knit structure. And I'm just going to cut that out of here. And all of the extra foam pieces will probably be getting shaved up and turned into other basing material, so there's going to be no waste here for this. But that is a very nice thing. And there's my applicator for the super glue, and it makes it quite easier. And I'm just going to step off here for the next day after everything's dried. I'm going to get some black paint on that foam, see how it looks compared to the other black paint on the foam that was placed there before the white is looking in. It's looking a lot easier to put black paint onto there. However, I have not put any new black paint on there in a couple days. I do use wet palettes, so my paint lasts for absolutely forever, so I don't really have any problems with it. And yeah, I just got myself some nice black foam right there, and I can't really see any white through it, so it seems to have worked better than the other one, which I can see white through. And I'm just gonna accidentally spill white all over my thing. That actually did end up going across the board, like across the rest of my thing in the next couple days after this. And I'm going to get a bit of yellow paint as well here. Gonna get that nice and poured out there. These are to do some lines for the road. I'm just gonna do some relatively thin going on thick lines. Some relatively thick lines actually compared to, the size. And I'm going to just put in, the center line and then two side lines, because I feel like that would be kind of interesting to see. And here I'm just finishing up putting a bit of black on the side there, and then I'm going to put a nice little side white road line all the way down and through the side. And then I'm going to do that again over here on one of the nice sand bases. And I'm going to just build myself a little road here, because why not? It's interesting to see, and I just want to make sure that it all works out. And if I had to pick the bases that worked the best, I would go for the blackened sand, or if you can, get a very tight-knit structure of foam and put that in there. And then either of those would work very easily. I feel like instead of getting a tight-knit structure for foam, getting a piece of sand would be very easy. However, the black with just the white on it does make it identifiable. If you would just like to do that, it does work. However, I feel like if you just put some black sand on there, it'll work quite better. And yep, I'm just going to lay all these out in a nice little pattern here and just kind of show it off a little bit. And then I'm going to take out one of my zombies, place it on there, give you a little bit of a show it off, and that's going to be all for today. Thank you.